Hey everyone, Jeremy here, aka Mr. W. It's been a while since I posted a new video on YouTube, so I decided to go ahead and make you one right now. And what I'm going to show you in this video is how to use a solid state drive on the Triforce and the Chihiro systems. They'll only work on the revision 3 Triforce and Chihiros. They don't work on the revision 1s. I'll show you what you got here. What we're basically going to use in your kit. We got the solid state drive itself right here. This is just the power for it, and we're going to use their standard 4-pin Molex PC connection to power it. This right here is your IDE to SATA adapter. You can buy those on eBay real cheap, probably like $4 or $5. We have our Y splitter, so we're going to take the power connection, we're going to split it 2 ways, and I'm going to show you how to connect that. And we're going to use one of these, which is something I'm hand crimping, and we're including with any kits that we sell. It's a power adapter for the solid state drives. It works on both the Chihiro and the Triforce, depending on which one you want to use it with that day, because the same solid state drive will work on both systems. As far as these Y adapter and the power for your solid state drive goes, you can buy them at Radio Shack. Here's your SATA to Molex power, and here is your Y splitter from Radio Shack. You can probably get them much cheaper on eBay, and you might as well get one, but you can get one from Radio Shack if you need it before they go out of business or whatever the hell's going on. Who knows what the company that's buying them is going to sell. But yeah, those are the parts there. So before I go any further, I'm going to show you my setup that I'm using to test here. And basically we're going to come down here and try to do this. Alright, of course we have our power supply, and I love this power supply to replace my one that failed because it's got this long power lead, so I don't have to have the power supply right next to it like I used to with my Naomi. I like that. But the other thing is, this was cut out of an actual Initial D machine. So I had these wires here that were just kind of hanging off, and it was cut right here. So what I decided to do was I spliced in some PC Molex connectors. And that way when I'm testing, I can just make adapters that use these 4-pin power connectors. For example, you might have seen in my other videos, this is my JVS IO right here. And I power it with plus 5 and 12 volts with a adapter I made for PC use. And also, if you come over here, this right here is one of those Chinese video converters. I have to use this with my Chihiro when I'm using this monitor right here, because this monitor really does not like the Chihiro video signal and won't display it at all. I don't have the problem with the Triforce, but with the Chihiro it won't, so I have to pass it through here. And I'm powering it with 5 volts from this connector right here. So you'll see I'll actually connect both of these for my I/O, and the power and the video converter will be plugged into those wires I was showing you. They'll get plugged in right here. And that's how it's going to be powered. When I power on this, it's going to power the PCB, the JVS I/O, and my video converter for the Chihiro. So just a little thing I set up to make it easier to test things. And you can also see here, this is a actual prototype of it, but this is one of my SGIP PCBs, which stands for Sega JVS IO Helper PCBs. Look at my other videos, you can see the final version, which is also right here, and looks much more sexy actually. But I have the prototype set up for Mario Kart GP, so that's what I've been using. You can see I've got it jumpered for the proper wires, the proper buttons and all that. So it's set up ready to play that. Alright, let me show you, when I come back I'm going to show you the systems we're going to be working with. Be right back. Alright, so as I mentioned before, the solid state drive kits can be used on the revision 3 Chihiros and revision 3 Triforce. What you have in front of you is a revision 3 Chihiro, and it's one that I bought off eBay. I bought it untested for a pretty cheap amount. It didn't have any of the cables, it didn't have this right here, which I ended up having to buy, which is kind of expensive. But also, if you go on the Chihiro Wikipedia, it has instructions on making your own video cable, and it does work. I just decided to use an original one there. This also came with a Outrun 2 security pick, which is fine if you're going to net boot using the Python script. But if you're going to use the solid state drive, you need a 0 key for the Chihiro, and the same 0 key can be used for Chihiro and Triforce for solid state drive. So also, as I mentioned, we can use Triforce. I'm about to show that to you. And here we have a Revision 3 Triforce. This is another one I also got off eBay, and I got it really cheap because it was completely untested. And I explained to the buyer, the seller, there's no way I can buy it untested at the price you want, and he accepted a pretty low ball offer for it. Problem is that since then he has a whole bunch of these to sell, and he started testing them, and he jacked the price probably up. Starting price is like 3 times what I paid for this one, so I got really lucky. But and I'll show you the interesting about this one that I bought off eBay was a Mario Kart GP, and what you're going to notice, I had to change the media board. There's actually 3 different versions of the Triforce. There's the Revision 1, then there's a Revision 3 Sega media board, then there's a Revision 3 with a Namco media board. And if you have a Mario Kart GP, you probably have the Namco media board. This is what it looks like right here. This is what came in mine. This white thing right here is your game cart. It's a NAND cart. This has the game on it. So this media board can't actually be used for like net booting or loading games via a solid state drive. And as you can see, there is no connector for a GD-ROM drive either. So basically it has to run these ROM carts. So this media board can't be used for a solid state drive or net booting. So what I ended up doing was going to a person I know, an acquaintance of mine that I talk to every now and then that fixes Sega stuff. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want him getting bombarded for parts requests. He sold me his spare, so he was lucky. He was nice enough. He had 2 of these. He sold me his spare media board, and I installed it on my Revision 3. So as you can see here, it has your SIM right here, and it's got the battery just like you would see in the Naomi. And then you have your IDE port here, which is where we're going to plug in that adapter, and I'll show you that a little bit later. As I mentioned, this doesn't work on the Revision 1 Chihiro Triforce. I just happen to have a Revision 1 Triforce PCB right here. So it uses the same DIMM as Naomi. And this actually only plays like 2 games. It'll play F-Zero, and it'll play Virtua Strikers 2002, which is a fun game, but only 2 games. You can net boot those just fine. Only problem with F-Zero is it automatically looks for the force feedback motor. So if you don't have it in a cabinet with a force feedback motor, you can't play the game. So I don't know, maybe it can be hacked to not look for that at some point. Who knows? Alright, I come back. I'm going to show you Chihiro first, how to put in the drive and loading up the game. Alright, so here I have my Revision 3 Chihiro. I've already got the power plugged in here for the power supply. I've got my sound here set up to the monitor so we can hear the bad boy. Let's got my 0 key right here. So let's pop this open, and I'm going to show you how to install this. Alright, so here you have our media board for the Chihiro Revision 3. And as you can see, I've upgraded it to 1 GB so I can play every game. The beauty of using the solid state drive is, for some reason, the Revision 3 Chihiro and Triforce takes forever to net boot a game. I mean, I've had some games take 10 to 15 minutes to net boot before on those. The Revision 1, it seems to load pretty quickly when you net boot, but for some reason the Revision 3s take a long time. A solid state drive takes less than a minute to load a game once you have it on the drive. You turn it on, it takes less than a minute to load a game, even if it's a 1 GB game. So that's one of the beauties. So let me show you how to set this up. First thing, I have my IDE to SATA adapter. Remember, it's keyed right here for the IDE. So I'm just going to slide this in. Alright, it's plugged in right there. Next, you see this plug right next to it right here. It's a 6-pin plug. There's where my power adapter comes in. And You can see this right here is the Chihiro one. And I've got it listed, each one I make, I write top on top of it. That means it points up. So this is just going to slide right in here. Right on the 6-pin. Boom. It's a nice snug fit. Alright, and since we're not using the Chihiro piece, that can just kind of lay off to the side. Alright, next thing we're going to do, I'm going to take my Y splitter. I'm going to plug this end in to the other side of my power. So when you plug this in, on my PCB, this is where it's pulling your 5 volts from the power of the solid state drive. It's coming into here and we're splitting it. And now we're powering two things, right? So you have to power the IDE adapter. So we're going to plug this in right there. It's a cheap connector, but it works. I'll probably replace it with my own somewhere down the line. Alright, I'm going to just stick this down here. Alright. Now I'm going to connect my actual solid state drive. Excuse me, I almost dropped it. Alright, so the data cable plugs in there. Here's your power. And the other side, the power plugs in the other side of that Y adapter. Now, cool thing about this then, the Chihiro has plenty of space. You could actually, if you wanted to, just put all this in here. If you wanted to just continuously load one game, you just fit it in there and then put it all back together and it's fine. But I'm going to show you it open and kind of laying out just so you can kind of see how it loads, because you're going to see my light on my adapter come on when it's loading a game. And I'm going to back up a little bit. When I come back, I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to show you it loading. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate the Revision 3 Chihiro loading a game from a solid state drive. I just wanted to show you this real quick. I forgot in the last segment to show you me hooking up the video to my Chihiro, and also the JVS, the IO has to be plugged in there or the game won't boot. So, I'm ready to show you loading a game. I'm going to turn off this light so there's less glare, and I also want to show you this as it starts loading. It's going to say it's initializing the media board right there, but then it's also you're going to see this light come on our adapter which says it's loading the game. Alright, it's come on right there. Saying it's loading a game. Coincides right there with loading a game program. Alright. So, everything's a go from there. So, I'm going to zoom in here so you can watch it. The disadvantage to me using this Chinese video adapter is for some reason the Chihiro signal will get really dark on the adapter. I'll have to reset the adapter. But apparently that's common. I've talked to Ken at iRepairSega.com, and he said that Chihiro has a really strange video signal, and there's a lot of monitors that don't accept it at all. I guess that's the case with this monitor, and that's why I'm having to pass it through a video converter instead. The Triforce doesn't have that problem. I just can connect the Triforce directly up to this TV, and it boots perfectly fine and plays fine and looks good. Chihiro's just a little weird for some reason. There we are, it's loaded, it's testing the game program, it's 100% tested. We're going to see it boot up. And as you can see, it's really bright, but if I just reset my video signal, it's back to being nice and crisp again. It's kind of annoying, but I'm sure if I ever want to play games on a consistent basis, I'll just buy a better monitor.
The year 2000. And now.
Turn down a little bit. Now some of you might be saying, hey wait, that's House of the Dead 3. Now that game's only supposed to work on the Revision 1 Chihiro, as well as Crazy Taxi. Well, those games have both been modified to bypass the media board check. So when these load up now, they don't look for the DIM board, they look for this Revision 3. They don't even look for any media board actually, they just bypass that and it loads up and plays fine.
Can't wait any longer.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to set up the solid state drive on your Revision 3 Triforce. So you see this connector right here. There's your power connector for your fan, and right next to it is this four block connector right here. And as I've shown you on your adapter, your wire adapter, you have your Triforce power connector, and it's a real tight fit, and it's keyed, so it's only gonna fit in one way. It's real tight, but it will go in. Alright, just push it in. It's gonna snap in. Boom, locked in. Next up, you take your Y splitter, and that's gonna plug in right here, just like that. And then you have your IDE adapter right here. That's going to go, it's going to plug in right there, and that's keyed also, and make sure you have that plugged in good. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, and this is your power right here for the IDE. I'm going to plug that into one end of the Y splitter. Boom, just like that. Then you have your data cable for the solid state drive. Let's see if I can move this so you can see a little better. So solid state drive, data cable, plug it in. And here's the power. It's going to go into the other end of the Y splitter. So there you have everything connected there. Then we just need to plug in our power. My power supply. Right there. I have my sound to plug into the TV. I have my I/O to plug in right there. I have my video to plug in right there. Alright, all I'm going to do, my solid state drive here, zoom out, back up, and show you it booting up and loading. And you'll notice it's a lot quicker to load a game with a solid state drive than it is to net boot on the Revision 3 and Triforce and Chihiro. It takes about 2 minutes maybe. This is Mario Kart GP2. So what you're going to need to do when you first load it up, if you're not using it in a cabinet, is go into the system menu and disable the card reader, the camera, and the feedback motor. and then every time you boot it, it's going to check for additional cabinets for about a minute before it actually loads into the game.
Mario!
Here we are live from Yoshi Park Course 1. This special course passes players through the attractions of Yoshi Park. The most talented driver is Mario! What thrilling techniques will we see? Everyone is off to a strong start.
Sit, Kishi. Sit. Good dog.